This story got a lot of attention on our social media, and after we posted it to Facebook, a lot of you told us what you thought. One person said she was sad to see the establishment go. The district says about 90% of the glasses they bought can't be certified to be safe. About 30 Red Cross volunteers from Virginia are on the ground in Texas or on their way. He says they found hundreds of pounds of leftover stuff, including tons of vinyl records. They've already filled 30 containers full of leftover stuff. 2 subjects in custody, and they've been able to reopen that road. There are multiple units out, also, as I said, along the back, because they have a big ladder up at the back as well. There was a hit and run in the 1100 block of Pilot Avenue in Roanoke City, and the result of that is right here. Solar eclipse created some once-in-a-lifetime experiences, but for some in Radford today, it was seen not once, but live twice. And I wanted to show you what it looks like from the view up Mill Mountain, but as it turns out, looks like I can't really show you much at all. It gets kind of quiet, people taking a moment to reflect and taking pictures. We all know that when the temperature dips, it can take a toll on your car, and for some families, that cost can be unbearable. But they had to put a stop to that. They got an order from the city earlier this month to stop because there was asbestos in the tile. Leaders on both sides blamed the other, while a group of moderate Republicans and Democrats tried to come up with a compromise they could support. Well, Jean, I spoke to a couple people out here today, and they all had one thing in common, and that was that they didn't know Heather Heyer personally, but they felt connected to her, and they told me they felt compelled to stand up and stand out in honor of her and their entire community. Bonnie Slater is here for Heather Heyer.
I mean, I really want to play for her and show the love.
She contributed to the ambiance outside of the Paramount Theater in downtown Charlottesville, where some people came bearing flowers, some came bearing messages.
Thank you.
Almost all came bearing their emotions.
I think it's going to bring us back together. It's going to help us pick up the pieces.
One local woman made these ribbons in Heyer's favorite color as she waited in line for the memorial.
We're going to come together and grieve together, and I think that's an important part of the healing process.
Well, I was there on Saturday.
Healing is what this man is looking for.
And I literally had to jump out of the way of the car, and I saw the bodies flying as the car impacted him.
Porter says this week has been hard. He's here today looking for peace.
I hope that it'll help me get these images out of my head to finally lay her down to rest.
And even though many never met Heyer, they say they certainly won't forget her.
And she's going to live in our hearts forever because she's a hero.
Friday night football is the highlight of Radford senior Eric Burdett's week.
Just the atmosphere, I mean, it's just tradition. Just something I've always loved and something I've just continued to do.
But this season for the team captain has not been what he expected.
Yeah.
Burdett had a round of chemo yesterday.
Just a crazy story.
In the first game of the season, Burdett made a great sack, and the other player landed on his chest. But what Burdett thought was a cracked rib turned out to be Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Puts it all in perspective. I mean, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you look at life so much differently, I guess. That's a good way to put it. But
So he fights, but he's here tonight, and so is his family.
Oh, he's so strong. It's amazing. It's yeah, he surprises me every day how strong he is. He's a lot stronger than we are.
Burdett is at every game, every practice, every meeting he has the strength for. In return, his teammates and classmates are showing their true colors, purple, to represent Burdett's cancer.
they have all got something to play for. They know that football is only temporary. I'm a living example of that. So they're just living it to the fullest.
But the support extends past Radford. Football games where they're not even present host 50-50 raffles for the Burdettes. Many winners opting to give Eric the whole pot.
I never thought it'd be such a big deal. But it's definitely been it's helped so much.
Cancer, like football, is not easy. But football taught Burdett about being a fighter.
Being just motivated to get up every morning and just face the day.
And while this season hasn't been the Bobcats' best, Burdett says he wouldn't trade this team for anything.
I mean, I love them. I wouldn't want anything different. It just means the world to me being here.
That That work even continues tonight at 11 o'clock, and that's because more than 30 rooms were affected, half of them severely damaged. Staff and some of the residents tell me they're pleased with how restoration has gone so far. Others say it's not going fast enough.
It's been a long, long, tough week.
The long, tough week isn't over yet at the Elm Park Estates. Outside, restoration equipment is weaving in and out of drenched apartments, and a mound of soggy carpet and insulation is starting to pile up. Inside, ceiling tiles are missing and rooms are still drying out. General Manager Richard Brookie hasn't even looked at the bill yet.
It's going to be pretty substantial.
But he's still thankful for the actions of emergency crews during the flood.
Their actions, along with the staff actions on Sunday, made a catastrophe something that was very manageable.
Today, some residents started coming home. Brookie credited them for their resilience during the whole situation.
A lot of these people have been through World War II. They've been, some, were born or grew up in the Great Depression. They can handle low water.
They've handled things really exceptionally this past week.
One resident says the flood was a bit of a shock.
And so I picked up my Bible and my mass book and a picture of my mother, and I just got out.
She's impressed with what cleanup crews have been able to do so far. But another resident told us he wasn't pleased to return to an unfinished mess.
The elevators aren't working. Would you like to stay in this? Would you?
Staff says safety is paramount and they're doing what they can.
We're taking care of your loved one, and if you got any questions, you know how to get a hold of us.
The general manager told me today that the health inspector and the fire marshal came by today. In fact, Melissa, within the last hour, I think I saw the fire marshal come back again. They've been giving staff certain tasks to complete to make sure these folks can come home. I checked within the hour, about half of these folks are back in their beds tonight. The other are staying with family, and staff tells me that they hope to be really up and running by the end of next week.